Hey, everybody, welcome to LettermenRow.com. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This is another edition of Bermanology, where we talk to Ohio State recruiting targets from around the country. Today, we're joined by New Jersey safety Jayden Bonsu, one of the top safety prospects in the class of 2023, and a player that Ohio State has a lot of interest in, but is not a player we've talked a lot about on our shows and or on LettermenRow.com. So I wanted to stop that trend today and get fans and people out there a chance to get to know a little bit about Jaden, who he is, and why he is one of Ohio State's top remaining targets in the class of 2023 at safety. So enough of me. Let's get to Jayden Bonsu. Joining us now is Jayden Bonsu, one of Ohio State's top safety targets, as I said, in the class of 2023, and a guy that has been around. I mean, Jayden, you've spent a lot of time on the road in the last few weeks. You've been to Ohio State, you've been to Notre Dame, you've been to Georgia, you've been to Penn State. I mean, how has this push helped you figure out kind of what's important in your recruitment?
Well, for me, visiting, my number one thing is relationships with the coaches and how familiar I am and how they make me feel and at home I feel while I'm there. So that's what I really compare with all my visits, how I feel while I'm there, the home feel, how the coaches treat me, how much of a priority I am to them. So yeah, visiting these schools has really been making it easier to, pick who's higher, who's lower by the relationships I have.
Is it difficult, do you think, on the visits? Because when you're on these trips, everyone is rolling out the red carpet, right? I mean, it's all the best of everything. How do you separate in those instances what you think is what's a real connection versus what's just showmanship and sales?
Sometimes I feel I can tell the difference, when a coach just talks strictly about the business side. A good coach I can say who's I can tell who's really into me on a more bonding level is Coach Eliano at Ohio State. So seeing how he treats me compared to other coaches, I can tell was real, was fake.
The Buckeyes are a program that offered you just about 3.5 months ago. But they've quickly become sort of one of those teams that I think people are linking you to, primarily because of Perry Eliano and the relationship he's built with you. Why is it so important for you to have made that Ohio State visit this spring, to get to finally see what Columbus is about, what Ohio State's about?
Mostly because I felt the genuine relationship before even. Okay, so Coach Eliano came and seen me when he first went into Ohio State on a visit. So he came to my school and I first met him, and I could already tell from the jump, he was just that type of guy. So once he wanted me to get down there and got me connected with Coach Day, it was a no-brainer for me. I had to get down there. As well, my guy Cody Simon is there, wanted to, talk with him about how everything is there. So yeah.
For someone like Cody, who is, he was a highly ranked guy out of New Jersey, very similar, from the same high school, has an opportunity to come to Ohio State. He played early, has dealt with some injuries, is now trying to fight himself back into the lineup. How does it benefit you to talk to someone who's been sort of through the ups and downs of college football, as opposed to maybe just someone who went there, was a star, and it was all easy? Does that actually make it better for you?
Yeah, it gives you a wide perspective on everything. Everything isn't just going to be easy, especially at that level. So you getting to know, especially from somebody who came from your school. So you getting to know that side of the story and the ups and downs, it just gives you a better perspective on how to move once you're in that position.
With Ohio State, they have two safeties committed in Cedric Hawkins and Malik Hartford. They've been very upfront with you, with Caleb Downs, with Jonel Aguero. They'd like to have three in this class, and there's a little bit of pressure, I think, to be that third guy, because it seems like a few of you are in the mix for that final spot. Maybe there's room for four. Who knows, the way college football is going. The rosters are crazy these days. Do you feel any pressure, Jayden, to lock up a spot anywhere because of the way that rosters are trending?
As of right now, no, not too much, because I know that me and Coach Eliano are very upfront with each other. We have that communication to where he tells me what's really going on, and I tell him what's really going on as far as the recruiting of me going to other schools and, things like that, things of that nature. So I don't want to just rush my commitment just because the spot may get taken up. I don't feel like that's how I should proceed with my commitment. So right now, I'm just visiting the schools that have offered me, weighing my options right now. But I feel like when the time is here for me to commit. I don't have to rush it.
Yeah, I think that your recruitment's fascinating. Like I said, you spent this weekend at Georgia. You've been to Penn State, sort of more of the local school, Ohio State, Notre Dame in the Midwest. Do you have a preference? I mean, have you started to figure out like, hey, I kind of like being closer to home, or it's cool to leave home? I mean, what do you feel like is the right fit for you personality-wise?
For me, so actually in Georgia, I have family there. So it feels like a second home almost to me. So being far from home, yeah, it may play a part. But at the end of the day, just because the school is closer doesn't mean that, I'll go there. I just want what's best for me, not just because of the distance.
Yeah. For top recruits like yourself, you have a lot of options. You have so many things to consider. What is it? One or two things for you, Jayden, that are the most important things for you and your family as you start to really narrow this down and break down official visits coming up in these next 2 months.
Two important things. Definitely. Well, number one, like I said, the relationships. But number two, my mom is big on academics, the academic side. So we always ask questions about that. If SAT will be required, things like that.
What do you want to study in college? I mean, do you have a plan for life outside of the game?
Yeah, as of right now, I say business or logistics, but I still have a lot to learn regarding that. So we'll see.
For Ohio State fans out there that maybe are not entirely familiar with you, because your recruitment is sort of new and you're not a big attention seeker, you're not a guy that's out there, pumping your chest on social media. What kind of player are you, Jaden? Like, what do you fit in the Buckeye defense, the new defense, especially on Jim Knowles, and what is the role that him and Perry Aliano have for you?
They see me as an athlete on the defensive side. They feel like I can play in the slot, back deep, anywhere. So if I was, to go to that school, I feel like I'll be used in a very versatile manner, not just in one spot. My film shows that I can play in the slot, back deep. I can run with receivers, fast slot receivers, all of that. So, yeah.
Is it hard to know what their defense is? I mean, because it's a brand new staff. I mean, you've been to Columbus one time to sit down with the coaches. Did you feel like you got a good sense of the direction that they're taking this defense? And are you confident that it's going to be a defense that puts you in a position to succeed?
Yes, sir. Watching the film that Coach Knowles showed me, it complemented my play style with the blitzing, the coverage, man coverage, the zone. I felt familiar with it. So, yeah, the defense that I've seen, it complemented my play style. I like it.
As you've gone around here in these last few months and gotten a chance to meet different head coaches, what are you looking for in a head coach? Obviously, these guys, it's 2022, right? So all these head coaches now are well-versed in social media. They're well-versed in how to play sort of the game. But do you get a sense of what you really want out of that dude?
Just mostly sustainability. Coaches leave here and there. Mostly a coach that I can trust who will stay. It's hard, when you get to know a coach and they just up and leave, and like now you have to get used to another coach. So sustainability, honesty, and just building the bond with that coach, feeling at home with that coach.
Have you figured out any official visit dates yet, Jaden? I mean, do you have some penciled in? Or is it, hey, I know exactly what weekend I'm visiting this school or that school?
I actually have. We plan on going on an OV to Ohio State in June, but it's not officially set in stone yet, but that's the plan.
Right now, you've got the top 10 schools that you just released about a week and a half ago, or on Easter Sunday. So what is next? How do you break down from that 10 to the 5 for official visits? What are you looking for that says, hey, this is a reason this school no longer is involved? Is it just relationships, or is there something else?
Relationships nowadays, I won't speak too much on it, but, like NIL comes into play, things of that nature. So that may come into play. I would say how close it will be, because, let's say like most Jersey kids, they don't go all the way out to Oregon.
Yeah.
So I will say things of that nature may come into play, but like I said, what's best for me is what's best for me. If a certain school is what's best for me, a distance won't really change that. So
last thing, since it's touched on it briefly, but you're dealing with a lot of schools that handle NIL very differently. The conversations you have with Ohio State may be totally different than the conversations you have with another school. Are you finding it challenging to balance the development of your game, of you as a student, of all that stuff with the promise of NIL? I mean, is it something that you guys, as the first class that's really had to deal with this, is it almost chaos? Because it feels like it to us on the outside, I think.
At times, yeah, it could be a lot, but you just have to find time for everything, Like you can't, for me, I don't have to worry about NIL stuff too much. I have support with that. So I don't have to keep my mind on things like that. Just focus on what I have to do.
Is it a challenge, though, when certain schools, and I'm not asking you to name anyone, I know that everyone's handling it different. If some schools focus on NIL primarily rather than relationships or development of your ability on the field or whatever, does that opportunity to make substantial money before even getting into college cloud the bigger picture in some instances, or is that not a possibility?
Yeah, it actually does cloud the bigger picture. Because, for me, that's not my main focus with the school. Money isn't the main focus with the school, because your play is what's going to make you the money, in my opinion. So you should go to a school who genuinely cares for you, not just because they offer you money. Yeah,
I mean, it's such a unique time that, and I said, you guys in your class are the first that really have to deal with this. So every time that you talk to someone about it, it seems like there's a different wave happening or different promises, and it's almost impossible to keep up. So I do not envy you. Look, man, I told you I'd keep it relatively quick for you this evening, so I appreciate you taking time. I know you've had a busy weekend. Thanks for joining the show.
Yes, sir.
That's Jayden Bonsu. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This has been Birminology on Lettermen Row. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.